Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitina. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sandhubhya eva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhaktivriksha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Everyone is comfortable? Yeah. Okay. So yesterday we were at a program and we spoke about how Lord Chaitanya as a little baby, no, as a toddler, wanted to eat the offerings that were made to the deity at the house of Jagdish and Hiranya Pandit on the day of Ekadashi. And Lord Chaitanya was very insistent, and finally he along with his father went to the house of Jagdish Pandit, Hiranya Pandit, and they were very happy to offer that prasad to the little child. Many years later, when Lord Chaitanya was a young man, he had asked Jagdish Pandit, two brothers, Jagdish Pandit and Hiranya Pandit. So he asked Jagdish Pandit and his wife to go to Sri Jagannath Puri, and they did. A few years after that, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas. And he took up residence as a sannyasi in the holy city of Sri Jagannath Puri. So before we go further, are we all aware of Lord Chaitanya? Everyone here is aware of Lord Chaitanya? Okay. Yes. Lord Nityananda? Okay. So he went to Jagannath Puri. Who went to Jagannath Puri? Lord Gauranga. So every year, the residents of Navadvip, his hometown, his birthplace, would come and spend 2 to 4 months with Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri. So they were all working professionals in Navadvip, they would get 4 months of paid leave. They would take their vacations and spend it in Jagannath Puri. So when they were going to Jagannath Puri and before their travel to Jagannath Puri, they would be very, very excited. And when the time came for them to come back, then they would feel emotions of separation from Lord Chaitanya. Because Lord Chaitanya would stay back in Jagannath Puri and they had to come to Navadvip. Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu, and their close associates would generally be the last to return back from Jagannath Puri. So for 3 to 4 years, this would regularly take place. One day, Lord Chaitanya, he called Nityananda Prabhu to a secluded place in Jagannath Puri. And the two brothers, they sat down. And Lord Chaitanya was speaking very quietly to him. He told Lord Nityananda that next year you should not come to Jagannath Puri. So Lord Nityananda was very silent. Since Lord Gauranga wanted him to not come, he just nodded his head. So Lord Gauranga told him, "Are you okay with that?" And he nodded his head. Next year, a lot of devotees from Mayapur, Navadvip, Shrikhanda and other places, they all came to Jagannath Puri. Lord Chaitanya was very happy to see all of them. And then he also saw Lord Nityananda there. Lord Nityananda had come back. So Lord Gauranga again called him to a private place. He told Lord Nityananda that I would be very happy if you no longer come to Jagannath Puri. I want you to stay in Bengal. We spent a lot of time in Bengal before I took sannyas. We spent a lot of time together. And with all the devotees in Bengal, especially in Navadvip, we were fortunate to spread and share Krishna consciousness to all the fortunate living entities. However, since the past few years, most of you are spending your time here in Jagannath Puri. So my request is that you stay back in Bengal and you encourage people of Bengal to be very, very enthusiastic in their spiritual practices, to be very happy chanting and taking the holy names of Krishna. So do you understand that, Nityananda? So Lord Nityananda nodded his head. This time, when he returned back to Sri Jagannath Puri, Lord Nityananda was in a very, very different mood. He, along with his dear friends and associates, they were feeling a different kind of happiness. Generally, when they would return to Bengal, it would be a quiet affair. This particular year, when they were going back to Navadvip, it was as if their emotions were similar to the emotions that the monkeys were displaying when they were coming back from Lanka to Kishkinda with the news of Sita. In the Ramayana, it is described that the monkeys were extremely happy and excited. So all these associates of Lord Nityananda, they were really very they were in a jubilant mood. And especially Lord Nityananda, he was constantly chanting the holy names of the Lord and dancing. And seeing him dance, the devotees were just going crazy. Have you ever experienced that in your life? How many of you have been in some really intense kirtan in the Hare Krishna movement? You know, intense kirtans? Everyone has been in some intense kirtans. And practically, people forget that they are not supposed to fly. Yeah. They toll around like a tornado. You've been there? You've witnessed that? Have you been one of those people? Devotees just crash into everyone and everything. And still everyone is happy. In fact, the rest of the crowd is instigating such devotees. Give us more. Yeah? So that was what was happening on this particular return tour. One of the devotees suddenly felt inspired to play the flute like Krishna. So that devotee stood in a threefold bending form with an imaginary flute on his lips and trying to play with his fingers, and basically his fingers was just playing on thin air. But the sound of the flute was being heard by all the other devotees. Most probably they had Alexa or something like that. Something similar. Somehow all the devotees could hear the beautiful sound of the flute. Being excited, another devotee was inspired to become a gopi. So that devotee puts his hands on his head like this, and everyone can feel that there is a pot of butter on the head. And that devotee goes to other devotee and says, "Would you like to buy my butter? I've come from Vrindavan to Mathura to sell my butter. Would you like some butter?" Seeing these two devotees interact in such a wonderful way, a few of the devotees started feeling that the mood of the cowherd boys had arisen within their consciousness. So they got out buffalo horns. Some of them manifested unseen herding sticks, and they would go, "Hur, hur, hur." They were herding cows and cattle. And a few others started jumping in thin air. They're like, we are jumping in the Yamuna. After hours and hours of dancing and singing and dancing and just running here and there, one of them felt that, hey, we are supposed to go back to Bengal. And to go back to Bengal from Jagannath Puri, it is very important that you go in the direction of the river Ganga, where she flows. So you have to hit the banks of the Ganga, then follow her upstream. very traditional rudimentary GPS system. So they looked around for some Google guys. You know, those people, do you know the way to the Ganga? The human interactive platform. That platform never goes like rerouting. They are so sure, yes, this way. Are you sure? You'll find out. So they followed that GPS. Do you know what is the way to the Ganga? They said, Ganga. My dear sir, the Ganga is behind you. They had traveled south rather than go north. They were going north, and somehow the other they backtracked. They had no idea. And they started laughing like, what are we, kids? Are we bowls? Mad people? Who are we? We're supposed to go to Bengal. So then they kind of reorganized themselves and they said, all right, now we are going to see the Ganga. They walked a few kilometers, few miles. Suddenly Lord Nityananda started dancing. They said, oh no, he's dancing again. It's like, you know, when we have a festival, maybe at one of our temples or some other place, after a few hours of kirtan, when it is prasad time, you're like, yeah, it's prasad time again. That was a feeling that they were having. Oh no, he started dancing again. So he was dancing, he was chanting. And the devotees, again, they were inspired in various ways. They lost all track of time. Then after hours and hours of chanting and dancing, they asked another gentleman, sir, is this the way to the Ganga? They said, Ganga. Where are you coming from? They said, we are coming from here and here. Oh, sir, you are traveling towards the west. You have to go to the east. Oh, sorry. So how many kilometers to the east? A couple of kilometers. They said, no, you've traveled at least 25 kilometers to the west. So they again started giggling and laughing that, how did that happen? We are adults here. How did we lose our way? In this way, somehow or the other, they made their way to the Ganga. After hours of chanting and dancing and just being happy, they reached the river Ganga, followed her upstream, and they came to the town of Panihati. As soon as Lord Nityananda he reached the town of Panihati, he was like, now we need to have our food festival, lunch, picnic. So Lord Nityananda says, Raghav Pandit, like today we dial. Nityananda Prabhu's dialing system was you just call up. Somehow the invisible lines would take his sound to its destination. Raghav Pandit was immediately awakened. Lord Nityananda, Lord Nityananda, where are you? Where are you? Raghav Pandit, I'm here on the bank of the Ganga. Make arrangements for Prashad. Raghav Pandit he had a catering system, free catering system. Like in India, in Chennai and most of Tamil Nadu, we have Amma's kitchen. Anytime you walk in, you'll have nice, hot, steaming food. You've heard of Amma's kitchen? Okay. So ordinary people, day laborers who come to the city, they very much appreciate this facility. So Raghav Pandit, anyone who's on the way to Jagannath Puri, anyone who's passing by his village or his town, his house. They could walk in and there would be prasad for them. He was like the kitchen of the entire movement then. Raghava Pandit, bring prasad. Yes, sir. They had such a wonderful feast. Lord Nityananda said, I'm staying here for some time. He stayed there for some time, 3 months. After 3 months, he says to Raghava Pandit, I'm leaving, just like that. Raghava Pandit says, I'm so fortunate that I had the opportunity to have your association. Please stay for some more time. He says, why? I'm leaving. He requested him, please stay for some more time. He said, okay. He agreed. And then he said, today I want to dress in very expensive clothes and I want to decorate myself with expensive ornaments. Raghav Pandit called up his bank because he had his box. You have a box at the bank? You keep your valuables there. He called up his bank. He said, please send all of my ancestral ornaments. Banker asked, really, sir? They're concerned, right? When you withdraw everything. Is there any problem? You don't like our services? He says, no, Lord Nityananda, he wants to have ornaments. Oh, Lord Nityananda wants? The banker said, I'm also withdrawing all of my ornaments. He could remove all of his ornaments from the bank. The employees, sir, what's happening? He said, Lord Nityananda wants ornaments. He said, oh, he wants? They also withdrew. Unlimited number of people, they got to hear about Lord Nityananda's desire. They all came with all of the ornaments. And then the cloth merchants, they heard he wants the finest of dresses. So they came with the best of their dresses for Lord Nityananda, finest silk. So Lord Nityananda sat down and they said, decorate me. He is Ananta Shesh. A beautiful throne manifested. He sat on the throne. And they started decorating Lord Nityananda. They gave him wonderful garments, wonderful, exquisite silk garments, gold jewelry. I mean, somehow all of their jewelry, all of their ornaments found some place on Lord Nityananda's transcendental body. Somehow. Now you may think I'm exaggerating. Maybe I am. But trust me, I'm not trying to even believe myself that it is actually true. Lord Nityananda was manifesting his most munificent, compassionate nature. He was accepting all of their services. There were gold ornaments studded with pearls, emeralds, rubies, intricately designed, exquisitely beautiful. Anything except gold was not even considered. No silver. Although in today's times, silver prices are going up still. There was no pandemic. Beautiful, beautiful ornaments. And then various colors of silken garments, blue and striking yellow, shades of red. They would put it around his arms, around his shoulders. Various ways they were trying to offer all of this to Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda raised up his hand. Every finger had rings. They went on placing rings on those fingers. And Lord Nityananda bent forward and they put necklaces on him. Some of those necklaces were dangling up to his neck. Some was right around his, up to his upper chest. Some was right around his neck. Some were all the way up to his upper stomach. His broad, fine chest was making all of these ornaments appear beautiful. The ornaments are kind of feeling very happy. They felt all right. Today, our stock value has gone up. Really. And someone who was very much dedicated to the greatest Vaishnava, Mahadev, Lord Shiva, came with Rudraksha necklaces. Lord Nityananda, he said, please put that on. So gold, and there were a few beads of Rudraksh. Nityananda was constantly chanting the holy names of the Lord, and he was swaying this way and that way. And as he was swaying, the necklaces would also sway. Some necklaces would get entangled. It was as if one necklace was telling the other necklace, me first. Get in line. The earrings were trying to kiss the cheeks of Lord Nityananda whenever they had an opportunity. Some of them are having fun. They're simply dangling up and down. The garments that were there, especially the silk, was feeling so full of grace and looked so graceful. This was the happiest moment of their existence, that they were closely, very, very intimately, they were holding on to Lord Nityananda's transcendental form. And they were just shining out with brilliance. Silk is very, very brilliant, especially when light falls on it. It's as if the light that falls on the silken garments is broken up into thousands of streams. So those reflections and the reflections of the ornaments was creating a very ethereal scene right there. Then devotees had come with wonderful garlands. Garlands made up of malati flowers, champak flowers, very fragrant, mallika flowers. I'm taking these names, there are other names that even I'm not aware of. These I'm aware of. They came with this beautiful handmade garlands and they put it on around his neck. The garlands are feeling very shy. Sometimes some flowers on the garlands would hide behind the ornaments. They tried to sit on his chest very delicately. The garlands were feeling that their petals could be very coarse or they would be very hard. And therefore they were trying to be very gentle. And they were trying to be, the flowers in the garland were trying to sit very delicately on his chest. When Lord Nityananda was decorated like this, and he was very happy chanting the holy names of the Lord, then they came with fragrant sandalwood paste. chandan. They had added certain minerals to the chandan. So some of the chandan had a yellow tinge, some of the chandan paste had a reddish tinge. So they have come with chandan paste with different colors. They applied that to Lord Nityananda's forehead. They decorated his forehead with different designs. They decorated. This was sandalwood tattoos all over his body. Sandalwood, because if they knew that after some time Lord Nityananda is going to dance, and when you dance, the blood flows, your body gets heated up. So they prepared Lord Nityananda's body for that event. They applied wonderful sandalwood paste. And the sandalwood was so fragrant, that all of a sudden the bees and the butterflies of the universe got attracted. And they were all swarming around Lord Nityananda's body, around the garland and his body. Then they brought out some more silken cloth, red colored, blue colored, golden colored, and they kind of intertwined all of this various pieces of cloth, and then they tied a beautiful turban on Lord Nityananda's head. And finally they took selfies. Lord Nityananda was Lord Nityananda. He was completely intoxicated with the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. His eyes would not stay stationary. His eyes were constantly rolling in all directions. It was as if he was completely lost in a transcendental mood. His beautiful smile illuminated all the directions. It seemed as if a great king, the Lord of the universe, was sitting on his throne, giving darshan to all the fortunate souls there. After Lord Nityananda was, or as Lord Nityananda was being dressed, the rest of his entourage, because they were in the mood of cowherd boys, they also started decorating themselves. They put on garlands, they put on ornaments. It was a very, very festive atmosphere. And when everyone was satisfied and Lord Nityananda was satisfied, Lord Nityananda said, Kirtan. They had wonderful Kirtan. And then he said, Raghava Pandit, Prasad. Prasad arrived. After a couple of days, he said, I'm leaving. Raghava Pandit said, my dear Lord, please stay. He said, you requested me, I stayed. Now I'm very much anxious to go and see Mother Sachi. I have to go to Sri Mayapur. So Raghava Pandit said, if that is your desire, my dear Lord, you are the independent Supreme Personality of God. Kindly bless us always that we can remember the lotus feet of your lotus feet and the lotus feet of Lord God. Nityananda Prabhu, he reached Navadvip. Nityananda Prabhu glanced at the town of Navadvip. He saw so many wonderful. Navadvip was a very, very busy town in those days. Very, very busy town. He saw a lot of pious people, hundreds upon thousands of pious people. Their faces were so radiant, their contours, their personality was very, very attractive. Vrindavan Das Thakur says that it was impossible for anyone to have even a tiny bit of a sinful desire when they would see the form of these great personalities in Navadvip. Can you imagine that? Wonderful description, isn't it? And they were always very happy. They were very gentle mannered. They were always excited to serve, very focused, hundreds upon thousands of them. At the same time, because this was a very busy town, there were also the rogues. Even if their shadow would fall on a snake would feel defiled. A snake would feel, oh my God, I'm poisoned. There's such kind of people also there in Navadvip. Nityananda looked at them and then he understood why Lord Gauranga wanted him to stay in Bengal. Lord Nityananda made it his mission try and do all that he could to give all of these wonderful souls, some of them were already very pure and others were lost, to give each one of them the opportunity to be immersed in the wonderful experience of blissful Krishna consciousness. After spending some time in Navadvip, reaching out to so many people, Nityananda Prabhu became very famous. And one of the reasons why he became famous was somebody would post on social media, Lord Nityananda sitting on the throne, all decorated up. So he became quite famous, and especially famous in certain circles. People who were more interested in all the jewelry than him. The thieves. And one particular dacoit king, gang lord, he saw Lord Nityananda and he decided to shadow him, spy on him. Because he had a lot of experience. He knew that if a person is boldly roaming around with all of this on himself or is exposing himself with so much jewelry, let us see what kind of security he has. So he joined the group of devotees that would move around with Lord Nityananda. But this is something interesting. Maybe we can take certain tips from what we are going to describe. He joined the band of devotees. He was so focused on finding out if there were any loopholes in Lord Nityananda's security that he was completely untouched by the devotional fervor of the devotees. Can we understand the power of free will? Being parcels of Krishna, we have such free will that even if Krishna would give us all that we could ever imagine to make us happy, and we are not open to it, we would be vimukha. We would be like, maybe there's something more somewhere else. That is free will. Ichha. The ability to desire. So he was literally a meditative yogi, but his meditation was on how you can stay in your moods. In India, we have a particular bird, species of a bird, one of the bird species. We call it bagala. The crane that stands up on one leg, and there is, sometimes there are certain phrases used in normal parlance, normal day-to-day interactions. Those few words speak a lot. So Bagala Bhagat. You heard of this? Bagala Bhagat? Seems that this person is in trance, the bird is in trance. And the focus of that meditation is the fish in the water. Even the fish feels Sadhu Baba. Even the fish feel that if we are around Sadhu Baba, if we are around this meditative yogi, we'll be safe. And click, seeing the right opportunity, the crane plucks them out of the water. And they get a different kind of liberation. The fish gets liberation by entering the stomach of the crane, the white crane. So meditation sometimes can be very, very focused, even when one wants to gratify one's senses. Many devotees in ISKCON, we may have this realization, especially when we are waiting for the Parna time after Nirjala Ekadashi and Dwadashi. We're so very focused on to the second that the Parna time begins. After an entire day of Nirjala Ekadashi, you're like, okay. We are so focused that a minute before that, we are sitting with our whatever, drink. To end the fast. If the fast, Paran time is 6:20 a.m., at 6:19, we have everything ready. 6:19. As soon as it hits 6:20, if that could have been taken as considered as focus chanting, we would have gotten full marks. Maybe somebody should petition Krishna. Krishna, our consciousness at the time of the Dwadashi Paran timings. Please consider that as our sadhana. Meditation can be very, very focused with very different goals that we have or we may have. So he was very focused. However, within his heart, constantly, he was thinking, he was contemplating, he was thinking of so many different, there were so many thoughts within his mind. He was contemplating, and specifically, all of his emotions were bringing forth various plans. What kind of emotions were there? This person had been brutally malicious throughout his life. Brutal. His appetizer would be violence. Only then he would be able to digest food after eating. Sometimes when you would go to his doctor, the doctor would say, your digestion is not working well. He said, yeah, for the past few days, I've been less violent, especially before my lunch and dinner. What to do? I don't get the opportunity. So doctor says, Please spare me. I'm a doctor. Murderer? He would never have. He was. It was as if he didn't have any emotions in his heart. His heart was as if made up of stone. So hard-hearted and emotionless murderer. Always in the company of rogues, thieves. His reign of terror was such that all the other experts of thievery accepted him as their leader. All the other dacoits accepted him as their leader. So he was trying to look for an opportunity to come up with a safe plan. Loot Lord Nityananda's party and loot Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda understood that there was a black sheep here. So Lord Nityananda came up with a plan. He went and took a precedence in the house of Hiranya Pandit. Hiranya Pandit's house was in a secluded place. After Jagdish Pandit had moved to Chokda from Jagannath Puri, Hiranya Pandit he had become a recluse. Very simple life. From the external point of view, he was extremely poverty stricken, very austere. Lord Nityananda took a precedence there. His associates, they were not aware that Lord Nityananda here. All of a sudden, Lord Nityananda was off the radar. Where is he? So they searched out for him. They found out that he was staying at the house of Hiranya Pandit. Lord Nityananda said, well, you can come and meet me during the evenings, but otherwise, we should respect Hiranya Pandit's mood. He's leading a very reclusive life. So we should keep this place very quiet. They agreed. So the thief also became aware, the dacoit king also became aware that he had taken a precedence with Hiranya Pandit. And he was all alone. So he said, this is great. At the same time, he was not a fool. He knew that Nityananda Prabhu is very popular. You are never sure who would just walk in, or when a crowd would just come there. So he was very smart. So he knew that he couldn't just rush in like that. So every day he would be on a stakeout. He would note all that was happening there. For a few days, he did that. He took notes. And then he came up with a plan. He went back to his gang. He said, brothers. When the gang members heard him call them brothers, they knew there was something exciting coming. Typically, he would go like, you fools. Or something like that. Brothers. They became very excited. They all gathered around him. We don't have to worry any longer. Today's heist. See, this is the original money heist. Today, we are going to get so much of wealth that even if we don't want to steal any longer, we just want to just simply be lazy and enjoy life, there will be sufficient and much more for an entire lifetime. We have been blessed by the great Mother Chandi. See, dacoits. They find ways to always put the blame somewhere else. Oh, we do whatever we want, and then we take it as a blessing of Goddess Chandi. And why do we take it? What gives us the right to do that? Oh, we worship her. Tam tam niyamam asthaya prakritya niyata swaya. The Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, according to their desire and according to how they feel about it, they offer their worship. So, Goddess Chandi is extremely pleased, and she has arranged for us to go and loot a lot of wealth. As a Goddess Chandi is like, she is the dacoit queen. You know, she is like a super dacoit queen. That is how they're presenting Goddess Chandi as. That she has arranged for us to loot a lot of wealth. For a few days, I have been shadowing an Avadhuta, really crazy person, always lost in his own thoughts. This person has so much gold, gems, jewelry worth millions of dollars. Actually, the original text is a lot of money. But dollars would make sense to us, isn't it? As soon as I say rupees, people in India think divided by 70. Into 70. Millions of dollars. Everyone's eyes were practically popping off. They had this excitement on their face. Their mouth was watering. They are like, they wanted to ask where, but they were so excited they couldn't speak. Their leader had made them spellbound. So much wealth. He said, I know you want to know where this is. This is at the house of Hiranya Pandit. Those who knew where Hiranya Pandit's house was, they were like, that's so easy to pick. And those who did not, they're like, what were the security arrangements? He said, none. Practically alone. And he is always lost in his own thoughts. Even if someone would come up to him and take away everything that is on his body, he would be unaware of. And Hiranya Pandit, he's a recluse. Practically stays in one room and doesn't even go to another room in his house. This is, I guess, most of the people in the United States with big houses do that, don't they? They may have a 5-room house, but most probably in their entire lifetime, they may not have visited a couple of rooms ever. Should we call them recluses? A recluse. So easy pickings. But still, we are dacoits. We have a reputation. Go and sharpen all of your weapons. Collect your swords, your shields, your spears, and other cutting instruments. Sharpen them, clean them, oil them. Because if we just steal and come, where's the fun? There must be some gory blood spilled. Sharpen all of your weapons. They all disperse very quickly, quietly excited that today evening we are going to have a feast. Time was not passing quickly enough for them. Every few seconds, they're like, is it time to go? Is it time to go? They're getting so agitated. They were practically, they were making each other miserable. Has that ever happened to us? If after Nirjala Ekadashi, on the day of Dwadashi, we are at the temple, and we know that there is wonderful feast prasad, how much longer will the lecture go on? And you're not satisfied asking one person. You want to ask everyone, anyone who could give you the right answer, which is right now. We will not stop till we have asked every single person who doesn't give us the right answer till we get the right answer. That's eagerness. That shows that we have the potential to know the absolute truth. We will not accept anything lesser than the absolute truth. So they were practically kind of, really, there's so much of energy arising within themselves. They wanted to kill each other. Like, let's go. Otherwise, I would just want to chop off something or someone, loot someone. When material passion is at its zenith, which in this material world inflicts every single person practically every hour. At its zenith, you're like, you cannot sit if you're in the car. You're like, why doesn't the traffic move? It is going, all the traffic is moving at 60 miles an hour. Still, you're like, hit the horn, slam on the brakes on the accelerator. If you're at home and you are, feeling that passion, you're kind of jumping around like a monkey from one room to the other room. And people are like, what happened? Waiting for something to happen. That's passion. Passion means intense anchoring, intense anchoring. And how does it happen? You just have to be in this material world. It comes free. Many a times when you're trying to sign up and they bring out all their terms and conditions, and we are used to not going through all of it. It is only a couple of days later that you realize that you have subscribed to something that you don't want. Somewhere within all of that, there was a box that you ticked. And when you realize that, hey, how did this happen? Suddenly my account has been debited. You go back to the terms and conditions and you see, I think this works. Yeah. So in this material world, that is what happened. We thought it would be fun here. We did not read the terms and conditions properly, the fine print. We ticked that box. You get to experience the intensity of the mode of passion free of cost. It's like you're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna, and suddenly something comes up right there in the upper chambers here in Swargaloka, the heavenly planets here in our body. Something comes up and you're like, okay, I cannot focus anymore. I have to look this up on my laptop, or I have to immediately go up to the calendar and see it, or to look at my phone and confirm it immediately. Has it happened? Such distractions. They never ask you, sir, Can we disturb your chanting? No, we never do that. And they don't even charge us. Free mode of passion. So they were really. That was the longest day in their entire life. Can you imagine what kind of katha the dacoit king must have done? They must have been so inspired. Longest, they were waiting for the sun to set. And soon as the sun set, they were on their way. Very quickly, they reached to this secluded part of the town. There was a grove of trees, and amongst that grove of trees was the house. Darkness had set in. Interestingly, the house was lighted up, and there was a lot of sounds and laughter, and it was as if it seemed as if a lot of activities were happening in the house. They could hear the loud laughter of people. They could hear people talking to each other. It was as if there was a lot of merriment going around. It chose a very, very well-trained member of their gang to go and spy on what was the event that was taking place there. So the spy crawls up slowly. So deftly, so quietly. Except the Paramatma in the heart, no one else knew. Even the dacoits did not know when he slipped away and where he was. Very good at spying. He goes up to the house and looks inside. He sees that there's a party going on. He's like, I've never seen a party like this. Because at the regular parties that he has been at, the scene would be really very, very intense. Like people would be shouting at each other using the choicest of words that no decent community would like to hear. Parties like that. Where if you ill-treat someone, it is considered that you are well brought up, you have good sanskaras, parties like that. Especially in India, there's a particular entertainment industry that has glorified parties like this a lot. On the screen, big screen, Bollywood. And sometimes they, if they want to offer someone something to drink, it's interesting what is considered to be sophisticated language, the language of those who are well-read and well-bred. What would they ask? What is that? What is your poison? You've heard that before? No? How do I know? Basically, what they're asking is, what kind of drink do you want? What is your poison? And if they ask, like we ask, what would you like to drink? What juice? They don't say, what is your poison? And it's considered to be high society talk. High society talk. So the spy was amazed because here in this party, what he saw was people had their hands raised up. They were not sitting, and the feet was There was not a single person whose 2 feet were at any moment touching the ground at the same time. There was only 1 feet that was touching the ground at any given moment because the other feet was swaying. He saw that all of them were dancing, and they were singing, and it's like, this is the song. Are these people from the dinosaur age? Like when human civilization did not even exist, this is a song from them. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. People still sing in today's age, they sing the song. He's like, what is this? He was feeling like vomiting. This is so bad. They don't even know how to party. How is it that they're so happy? And then you realize, I'm not here to see what they're doing. I'm here to understand when will they stop doing this and how did this all happen? So he looked around. He saw that the house was full of people. They were eating food, and they were like, when they were having food, they needed more food. They would say, can I have more prasad, please? Can I have more prasad, please? And he's like, what is this prasad? It's like, what kind of place have I come to? Our king. Why does he want us to go through, especially me? Why did he choose me to go through such torture? What kind of prasad? Can I have some prasad? Hare Krishna, dance. He's like, all right, what can I do? This is my job. You can relate to that, right? Many times I've heard people say to me, Prabhuji, you're just doing this job somehow, they're tolerating it. Just my job. So that person was also saying the same thing. I have to just get my job done. Just tolerate all of that. Gather as much information as I can and bring it back to my gang. So he gets all that information and he goes back to his gang. And he says, how do I even describe? So I see this person sitting right there. It's as if he's the whorl of a flower, the center of a flower, and everyone else is sitting all around him, and they are all facing him. It's as if they are like petals. They are chanting this Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The others look at him and they're like, you want to vomit? What are you saying? Stop saying that. He said, what did I say? You just said that. No, I did not say that. Yeah, you did. No, I just said Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Others were like this. Stop, stop, stop. He couldn't. He did not even realize that he was saying the Maha Mantra. He's like, this is what they're doing. He's like, okay, edit that part. He says, edit what part? This part. He couldn't understand what they were asking him to edit because he wasn't realizing that he was saying the Maha Mantra. It's amazing, isn't it? How many of you have been to Mangal Aarti? And when do you realize that actually what you're singing was Mangal Aarti? You know, there are 8 verses in Guru Ashtaka. Has it happened that we kind of realize by the 5th verse or 6th verse that, oh, I've come to the end of the Guru Ashtaka. Yeah? You don't realize. And here we are trying to be devotees, we don't realize. Imagine those who are dacoits. How would they ever come to know that they have just chanted the Mahamantra? And at that point, he said, all right. So they were all sitting around him and they were chanting and they said, quiet, quiet. We know they were chanting. What more? They were happy, they were roaring, they were jubilant, they were clapping their hands, they were swaying, they were just oozing so much of joy. And they were laughing like madmen. Some of them had tears rolling down their eyes. And I saw a lot of them be very childlike. They were like chanting and going, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. How many of you have participated in intense kirtan? You know, the drums like 3-4 mridangas are going on, lot of kartas. And everyone, the temple hall is like, or wherever the kirtan is happening, everyone is like, their shawls are flying this way and that way. And then you've been there? And then have you been excited enough to also ramp up your movements, like your joints are wondering, did we have that capacity? Later on, you realize that they did not, but you know, in the excitement, you're like jumping around, and suddenly you realize that you are good at aerobics or something like that. The muscles which would simply cry out in pain when you wanted to do the simple of asanas, they seem as if you are a very fluent yogi. You know, you could do the asanas, your joints, your hands kind of just move wonderfully. Childlike. Have you seen a child like that? They are all wide awake. That was like a thunderclap, like lightning crashing on them. They are all wide awake. I mean, we waited the entire day. That was terrible for us. And now these people are wide awake. Why can't they go to sleep? And why did they have this party tonight? So they said, anyways, Goddess Chandi, she wants us to be tolerant. Tam titikshasva bharata. You know, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, you should be tolerant in happiness and distress. So they decided to wait. They looked around, they found a comfortable tree, the trunk of a tree. They went and they kind of sat around it. They put their weapons to the side and they said, all right, how many of you all are good with Hindi? How many are not? Okay, all right, all right. I'll explain it to you later on. You can ask your dad. So they sat around, they put their weapons there, they looked at each other, and then do you know what they did? बैठे बैठे थक गए करना है कुछ काम शुरू करो अंताक्षरी लेकर चंडी का नाम. So sorry. They had to while away the time. So they're like, all right, let's do some small talk. What was a small talk? It began with, you know, that day when we raided that place and we chopped off everyone's fingers. And sorry, I wouldn't want to describe it, but that is how it began. And that kept them energized. Time passed. Nityananda Prabhu, he had already, you know, it was as if Nityananda Prabhu has a flying drone that captures all of our activities. So he knew what was happening. Nityananda Prabhu, he invited a very special lady to come there. Do you want to know who's that special lady? Nidra Devi, the goddess of sleep. He said, please come here. There's something important that you could do. So Nidra Devi appeared there. Meanwhile, after having played Antakshari for a long, long time, after having passed there, having the small talk, they started expressing what they would like to do with all the money, all the wealth they would have after distribution of the loot. The dacoit king had told them the amount of wealth that was there. So they were now expressing what they would do with their wealth, with the loot. So one person said, I lay claim to the golden bracelets. Another said, okay, if you're taking the bracelets, then I will take the necklace. The person says, if you're taking the necklace, I will not give you the pearl necklace, that is mine. Another dacoit said, sir, the earrings are for me. Another one very dreamily spoke, I will have some of the gold chains and the smaller necklaces. Someone said, leave the ankle bells for me. And the anklets. In this way, in the middle of the night, they were daydreaming. Nityananda Prabhu, he said, Srimati Nidra Devi, could you please be compassionate on these fortunate souls who are there outside under the tree? Nidra Devi said, yes, sir. Nidra Devi is the goddess of sleep. She went and she spread her compassion on all of them. As they were dreamily speaking about how they would share the wealth, slowly they started yawning and falling off to sleep. So from daydreaming, they went to night dreaming now. They had the most peaceful sleep. I mean, Nityananda Prabhu had asked Nidra Devi to serve them. That was the best sleep they ever had. Later on, when they went to the doctor said that something has changed. Sometime in the past week, you had very good sleep, which you've never had before. So they were in deep slumber and they were dreaming that the loot is there and they are taking whatever they need, whatever they want. Suddenly, they hear strange sounds. They're like, what are these strange sounds? It is a chirping of birds. They open their eyes and they see it is way past sunrise. They're like, oh my God, we are out here in the open with our weapons. Somebody can see us. There would be so many people. The villagers would be there. They always walk around this place. We'll be discovered. We have to go and hide. So they immediately picked up their weapons and they ran back to their hideouts as quietly as they could, to their hideout as quietly as they could. And there began the accusation game. You were out on a job and you slept. And the other person said, you were first. Went into sleep. You first, you first, you first, you first. And they were practically, fist fighting. The dacoit king, he said, Shant, quiet. I think we made a mistake. We are devout worshippers of Goddess Chandi, and before this very important task, we did not take her blessings. So we should take her blessings. And when we have our blessings, then we'll be successful in our task. They said, all right. So what happened after that, we'll discuss on another day. It's quite late. We'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments?
This incident, where exactly happened?
Where
Is it near the Panihati area? That's where it happened, or
no, they're in Navadvip. They've come to Navadvip. Anything else? So we'll stop. Oh, yes, sorry.
To see how different the route was respecting the roots of the communities that he visited. So I want to so fascinated. I looks at him so sure. He gave him a full opportunity to serve in all the activities that could be possible. He went and gave it one of the these are the things. He's respected. He's sending the people cover. He wants this. We can pass that to what it does. But we do not stick to the move.
You're welcome.
So thank you for so nicely describing this pastime. When you were describing, I could actually visualize some of these things. Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome. I have a secret to share. It is a little cold. That is why I'm very animated. All right. Yes.
When will you tell the
And most probably, I will continue tomorrow at tomorrow's home program. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Tomorrow's home program is absolutely not about home. Please text me, I can set the details.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada.